Andy Ready and signing on Saturday the 19th of January 2019. Let's get it on, let's get this started, let's get into the swing of things. It's round 10, Mount Edgecombe on the Woods. It was a Saturday afternoon comp. I played off the yellow tees, windy and wet, and playing off the 10th was the 18-hole individual Stableford format, and very happy with many things, but I think there was just a few issues just with the scoring, and I think the double bogeys that were made, they could have definitely have softened the blow. 75, 76 I would have been very happy to walk away with today. Let's explain how that came to be. So rocked up to the club with the locker room routine, did the pro shop check-in, hit some balls at the range, wasn't really hitting 3-wood or any of the long irons pretty well, keeping still and keeping some of the fundamentals, checking a few of my positions beforehand. I knew I wasn't hitting it the best that I could, so coming off the range I knew some shots weren't going to play, but I'm going to have to just have some good course management. Started off the 10th tee and it's into a 3-club wind. Have hit a 3-iron off the tee there 70% of the time, and that was the decision. I had a target pretty much left of the fairway to give myself a very good look from the left side, because the pin was 9 on and it was center, and there's that little ridge that you just want to be left of, and I had put the 3-iron in a beautiful position. I mean, it was center of the target. It's the best possible tee shot, and I'm very happy with the striking, and I knew if I just stay with the rhythm and not let things get in the way, I could have a very good setup, and that was a great way to start the round off. And then I had the second shot that was going to go into a very I think at the end of the day I chose the right club. I just didn't commit to the target, had a bit of an open face, and I ended up just a little bit short, sort of probably about it actually did turn up to be pretty much pin high, but it was on the wrong side, so I had to up and down. I pretty much chipped it as good as I could. I just needed to hit the par save firm, and I left it in the teeth. That's coming from practicing on a Thursday afternoon after work at a very different type of inland setup. The ball was rolling there. I think I still brought that onto this coastal green scenario where you've actually got to make a certain contact. Even if I miss the sweet spot, I've still got to actually have a proper backswing and let the shoulders actually putt through the ball. So interesting to leave the first one short. Went on to the 11th tee, which all I needed to do was just hit a drive at 70% of the speed that I'm looking for in the swing. Felt like I didn't get a good contact. It's almost as if I was a little bit shut. The ball ended up just left of the fairway, and that obviously would make the second shot a little bit tricky, because the pin is tucked away in a very difficult spot where you actually have to land it very short, and you can end up having a very tricky sort of up and down release for either a birdie or a par save. So I thought, well, let's just go past the flag and come back left to right with a little chip. The chip didn't work out as my recovery to give myself a par save. So yeah, I think I did get thrown off a little bit, but at the end of the day, the positions, the tee shot, the second shot, I had all the ingredients to make a par. Just unfortunately hitting my par save very firm, as if I was looking for too much, and that is just indicative of my putting stroke just needing to find a bit of rhythm. And then on the 12th, I actually hit a very decent 9-iron. It did actually carry quite a long way. It almost carried 158 meters, a 9-iron, with the wind that was behind me, and the cut shape was looking really good in the air. I then went on to hit a poor tee shot on 13. I mean, there was the first sort of driver that I released, and I hadn't actually squared up the club face, and I didn't have a very good path and release in sequence. So I did actually manage to flash it to the right. I actually had a lot of space to work with a second shot. I hit a 9-iron, and it actually turned out to be in a perfect spot to up and down, and I've nailed now my first up and down of the day, maybe the first one out of 3 opportunities, so 1 and 3. I'm happy with that. Moving on to the par 5, I hit a good, almost choked down driver. It seemed to sorting out the square to square and the release, so keep that in mind. And then I did have an opportunity to look at maybe putting the second shot on the green on the par 5. I actually chickened out, hit a 9-iron, and left myself a very good sandwich in. And there's the problem. It was almost a 55 meter, sandwich that would come to haunt me later as well. I didn't nail any of these 2 sort of pitch shots. I left it just too short. It almost became a 15-footer uphill where I should be inside 10 foot. Missed the birdie. That was the first real birdie chance of the day, and gave myself a little bit of a knee knocker coming back. But I made a par on a par 5. Really great opportunity to make a birdie on a tough day, and I would have at least given myself a decent score going into the par 3. And then I hit the 4-iron, really good 4-iron into the par 3, which was into a 3-club wind, 2-putt for a par. And then on the stroke 1, I had a terrible tee shot. I almost bailed out and didn't square up the face, and I actually had to take a penalty, like literally off the tee box. And I was always looking at double bogey from that position. But then to follow that up with a birdie, it was a driver, and then I hit a 50, it's my gap wedge. I hit my 50 degree to the left of the flag, and I actually had a very good birdie putt that I managed to hole out. So there, to bounce back with a birdie after a double, after not too bad 3 holes before the double, I was very happy. And then I actually put a really good sequence of shots on the 18th. It was a tough tee shot off the yellow tees. I didn't go for 3-wood. I actually chose to go with 3-iron. And then I had myself a 6-iron into a green where I had a lot of green to work with. And that is a decision that I made on the tee that was correct with regards to the pin location. Obviously, I think I might have changed my decision if the pin was tucked in right or if the pin was in the front. So having a 6-iron, I gave it a very good hit to put myself in a place where I was below the hole. I hit such a good birdie putt. To miss on the left was unlucky. It should have actually been a 3 for 4. I would have had my first 4-pointer of the day. That would have been very, very pleasing. And then that was the close of the first 9 with a 4-over score of 39 because of the par being 35. Going on to the first hole, because I've started off the 10th and finished on the 18th. Now the wind is still there. It's wet. It's raining. I've chosen now to put the glove away, so I'm cleaning the grip with my tile and using my hands to keep everything dry. And I'm actually starting to swing a little bit better with the hands actually coming out of the full shots, and I'm actually getting the turn and getting the shoulders to release. And I had a pretty decent 3-iron off the first, putting myself in a position where I was looking for a 7-iron at least, but then I had to sort of hit a 6-iron, which I didn't connect. Put myself in a position where I had to just try and get up and down from about 35 yards out, and it was just a bad bounce, and I was struggling to save par with a very big swinger right to left to save par from outside 10 foot. And the par 3, I think the second hole was the worst hole for me of the day, because not of the double, but just I actually should have taken a better club off the tee. It was a 4-iron or a 3-iron full shot with anything left of the flag. I short-sighted myself right with a 5-iron, and then I had a poor lie that I had to try and at least get past the short-sighted, and I didn't. I left it still in a peculiar spot, meaning that I had to hit the most difficult chip to keep it somewhere just below the hole, and to make a 5 from that position, it was disappointing. I think I did take that onto the next hole, where I hit a decent tee shot, didn't really square up with a choked down driver, but had a very good opportunity from outside 55 meters, and also just didn't actually get the sequence right. I think I actually just locked a little bit with the hips, no no sequence on the transition, and then I actually hit it a little bit thin, and then I had to up and down just to save par. So very, very disappointing. And then to take that, I had a decent tee shot then to go on to the fourth. I was happy with that. That was a 3-iron, so hitting that 3-iron way better than I could hit the 3-wood with the wet and windy condition. I had now a 5-iron to contemplate the elevated tee position on 4. I did miss out and bail out to the right. It was a simple bump and run to get anywhere within 10 foot of the hole. I was just outside of that, but at least gave myself a par chance to try and make a 3-pointer, because that is a good par save with the conditions, and I think a lot of people would have taken a 4 and run on that hole. Very poor tee shot on the 5th, hitting driver as if trying to hope that I can square it up. I just got it all wrong on the 5th. Had to take a penalty, so that's now 2 penalties off the tee. That's just obviously 81 is going to happen when that happens, and try to salvage a bogey from taking a penalty, and I couldn't. So it's now the 3rd double of the day, and I'm going to move now onto the 6th hole, where I hit driver and I actually couldn't reach the bunker. Surprisingly, I did hit it quite low and at least squared up the club, so it did get quite close to going into the bunker, because on the back right flag position you do have quite a bit of green to work with, and I hit a chip with the 54. Turned out to be perfect. It actually surprisingly did miss the hole left, but I did try and keep it below the hole, and then I made the birdie putt. So now very, very happy to have made now 2 birdie putts where it's sort of left to right. Then I hit a really good 9-iron into the short par 3 7th, and it could have made a really good impression with the 2 club, with a putt that was on a bit of a tough lie. It wanted to move a little bit right to left in the beginning, and I just didn't hit it for the birdie chance. So I had to settle for par on the 7th, and then I got onto the 8th, and I just got, the first time in a long time, I just got this feeling that there's no way I can miss left by hitting quite a low driver and just get the most out of the run of the fairway that I could get. And I actually did hit it pretty close to the 100-meter mark to the front, but with the longest green on the course. It's a 38 meter length of a green, and the wind is a 3-club wind. I'm now thinking about, it's better if I use the back of the green as a distance, and I did. I took 138 being my current position, and then I added the 10, which was the distance behind the red marker, and I actually took a club that I thought I could hit, obviously for the 148 meter mark, and I hit a 7-iron, which definitely was way too much club, but I made sure I didn't hit a full swing, but the 3/4, and it really worked out quite well, because I went on to 2-putt that, and that was a 3-pointer for the Stableford, and at least gave myself a very good chance to finish the round on a high, because now I've gone birdie, par, and par, and now I have the yellow tee on the 9th to contend with, and 6-iron just didn't actually get there. It got knocked down, but I had a good opportunity to up and down. I had another one of those sort of positions where I must hit the 54 chip, but it was more than a chip. It's kind of like I hinge and hit the pitch, and then I get very good contact on top of the equator of the ball, so I can get a little bit of a rollout. It didn't really happen on the 9th green, but I really gave the par save a good opportunity. So really started the day putting probably poorly, missing a lot of my marks, but got the pace right probably after 3 to 4 holes. Really started to believe that I could actually hole out from anything within 20 foot. Nice feeling to be in, and then it just didn't feel like I had some of the touches around the green that I needed. I think I could have really made a lot more easier work with some of the clips and some of the chipping on the areas that I missed. I think if I analyze some of the shots that I hit into the wind, pretty good considering the 7 and the 8-iron. But really off the tee, I mean, there was no excuse for some of the targets that I missed. I mean, the tee shot